Hello, hello, beautiful soul tribe. I am very excited to share with you something that I never knew I'd be so passionate about, but here I am, and I still feel like I have very little knowledge, but it's something that I'm continuously learning all of the time, and that is about herbs. So I'm going to share with you all of the herbs that I have in my apothecary that I think are go-to must-have herbs. At least they are for me and my family. Are you searching? Are you looking for something new, something different? Are you being called to your ancestral roots? The Modern Sages podcast is a tribe of women that believe in exploring beyond the broken constructs of society. We believe in empowering women to embrace the medicine within, all with an open mind, baby. So let's begin. It's my favorite. I just love this subject so much. And I think it's something that so many people are being drawn back to. But yeah, I can feel like I don't even know what to do or how to get started or what are good herbs and all of the things such as that. So I know in the podcast previously we have had when Candace was with me, we had Sarah Madsen. She is the herbalist in Maui. And then Candace and I have also talked about the wisdom of plant medicine as well as plant medicine ceremonies. So I will link those actually in the show notes. I'm just taking note of that. These so yeah, I think let's just dive in and get started because I think there's going to be so many good things here. So I know getting started it can feel like a lot. But if we go back to the concept that we have always naturally been connected to Mother Earth. And this is not to take away from westernized medicine whatsoever, because I think that there is a lot of power and people are living a lot longer. And there are so many benefits to the westernized medicine, to doctors and surgeries and all of that. So I'm not taking away from that. And I also think that there is a balance. I think that previously in ancient times, we relied upon herbs and Mother Earth and shamans and medicine men and women and that wisdom to be passed down to help heal the body, mind, soul, and emotions. And then I feel like when the westernized world came in, it was like pendulum swing. If you go to someone who has that connection with earth, or if you partake of plant medicine or plant wisdom in any way, you will be demonized. You're not going to be able to go to heaven. You're going to be damned. That was quite literally what they were told and shared and expressed and experienced. And so they would have these medicine schools, these mystery schools held kind of like a speakeasy. It was like it was not talked about, but it was still learned and it was still considered and it was still part of life, but it was like hush hush. And then a lot of this patriarchy and a lot of this domination of like, hey, you have to go to school, you have to do this, it has to be this specific way, really took over. And I feels like we were one way and then we went completely the opposite way. And I feel like we're kind of coming back into this healthy balance, this center point of the pendulum swing. And kind of can be rough, kind of getting back into that space here. But having that been said, westernized medicine, beautiful, wonderful aspects. There are so many things that we are learning about the body and finding assistance in. The only thing that I have that holds me back in that aspect is that not everything needs medication. And I know that's a bold statement to say, but there are things that are going on in the body that are connected to your emotions, to spiritual things. We don't always understand that. You know, if someone has ADHD or if someone has anxiety or depression, well, there are other suggestions or there are other herbs that are natural that can be taken to try to help bring the body back to balance. And not only that, maybe there's some emotional things that also need to be looked at or addressed or brought light to those dark places that are also showing up. And so I think that there's this aspect of finding a balance between all of that, because I strongly disagree when when a mom has a session with me and she's like, I don't know what to do. My kid is so crazy. There's so much going on. And then I took him to the doctors and they want to put him on medication. And it doesn't feel right, but I don't have any other resources. There's nothing else to do. And to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I was that child. I went to the doctors, I did all the things. And I just feel so honored that my mom and my dad sought out different methods of healing. And mostly my mom brought into this space of, hey, let's do acupuncture, let's do meditation, let's try all these different things so that you can find balance, so that we don't have to put you on medication, because I don't feel like that's going to help you. I feel like it's going to shut you down. And I feel so honored and so grateful to have had that as my childhood. And alongside that, I have come to understand that there are natural herbs that we can take to bring balance to the body. And I'm not saying that taking medication, any of that is bad or wrong. That's what I'm not saying that. I'm just saying there's got to be a middle point, the pendulum swing of both, to help bring balance to the body. Because if someone has a gallbladder issue, well, instead of just taking the gallbladder out before you take that drastic, forever changeable thing in your body, have you taken herbs and done other things to try to bring balance in a different way before it's too late, or before you have to take something out that you could have herbs to try to take to heal or to bring balance into that space? And of course, I might sound ignorant because I don't have all the, I'm not a doctor, I don't know all the things, but I just know what my intuition shares with me. And there's really big aspect of finding balance. Like, we need that in life. And this is a very controversial topic, and I'm just saying what I feel. So here we go. The wisdom of myself, I should say. But actually it's ancient wisdom, and it's wisdom that has been passed down for generations. And then it was demonized, and now it's coming back, and it's awesome. I'm really proud of it. And there is a healthy balance between both. There is respect and reverence in both aspects, 100%. So I wanted to share with you, now that I've gone on this tangent for who knows how long, I wanted to share with you some of my top herbs that I have in my apothecary. So when I was in Georgia, I felt really called to go into this herb shop and to just see if they had any openings. And instantly, I came in contact with the owner, Mary, and I love the heck out of her. She's so beautiful, and I learned so much. It was exactly what my soul needed. And I've always been really drawn into the herbs, but it just has felt like I don't know enough about the body, that I'm stupid, and that I'm never going to learn it. It just felt so overwhelming. So to me, I'm like, oh, going to this herb shop is literally the perfect choice for me in being able to learn about herbs and to embrace myself into this beautiful plant medicine. So as I got started and as I was researching and looking into these things, Candace definitely got me involved with my shamanic practices in some aspects. And my friend Corinne, she is a part of this company, an herbal company that we'll talk about that company too, which I absolutely adore. And every time I was with her, I would get this desire of like, oh, I want to learn all these things. And then I'd come home and I'd be like, oh, it's too overwhelming. I have nowhere to start. But now I feel so much more confident in that aspect. And so I wanted to just go over what's in my top herbs in my apothecary and the things that I will always have in my home. And I know as I have kids, there's going to be more added, but these are the things that I know for a fact are 100% powerful in the aspect of what I'm always going to have in my shelf. So the first thing I wanted to address is digestion. I feel like this is something that not everyone likes to talk about, but many people have problems with digestion and, irritable bowel and all kinds of stuff. And actually, Curtis, he might hate that I'm talking about this, but when we first got together, he had really bad problems with digestion. And he was taking some herbs that were helping out a little bit. But then Mary actually put him on a regimen to help balance out his lungs, his heart, his bowel. And I have a little bit of the sniffles today. But she gave him some different herbs to also bring different aspects into balance. And like he has not had any bowel problems. And it's been really cool to see. Okay, so anyways, moving forward, digestion. These are my top herbs for that. So the first thing is I have all these on my shelf so I can just kind of pull them while I talk about them. Digestion is one of my favorite go-tos for sure is ginger, whether that be ginger root. I have a ginger root, which is like a loose leaf that I love to put in tea. It tastes so amazing. But of course, ginger is really good for digestion. It's amazing for if you are nauseous, if you have an upset stomach. Ginger is one of my go-tos that I'm always like, oh, I will always have ginger, whether it be in a capsule, in a loose leaf, in even like a healthier candy option or something you can chew, just helps soothe the stomach. So this is the one that I have gotten. I bought like 3 of these as I was at the herb shop. And I think that with this too, digestion and ginger is one of the experiences that I had was I was at Candace's house and we were recording stuff for a podcast as well as some online school stuff. And I had lentil soup with her, and my body's not normally, I feel like it doesn't break down lentils very well. So, anyhow, when I went to bed, my stomach was like huge. It was so bloated. It was so big. And she was like, "Oh, just try some of this ginger." And so I took 3 capsules, and within 20 minutes, my stomach was feeling immensely better. And it wasn't like I had to go to the bathroom, it was just really bloated. And so I'm a big fan of ginger. The other thing that I really think that everyone should have is some kind of vertizyme. And of course, like in the podcast with Sarah, the Maui herbalist, she talks a lot about good ways of sourcing your herbs. And of course, in the show notes, I'll link some of the things that I really like and the brands that I like too, because not every herb is designed the same. A lot of herbs actually are synthetic. But the companies that I really recommend, I know are all natural based and they're not synthetic or anything like that. Anyways, vertizymes, an enzyme, because the food that we take nowadays, our body isn't used to processing so much processed food, so much sugar and so many chemicals that are in our daily food. And our body doesn't have the enzymes to break down food as easily. And if we're not putting in fruits and vegetables, and if we're not putting in stuff that's going to help feed the enzymes, our body's not going to be able to break them down because our body's not producing them. And so, of course, especially like if I have a heavy meal or I have more bread and I'm like, oh, my stomach just doesn't feel very good, I will take vertizymes. And I'll go over this company later. Enzymes is really great. So I have this one from Soul. And then along with this, like Candace really loves The Lower Bow by Christopher's. And I do like this one, but it does have the cayenne pepper in it. And that actually makes when I take that, so sometimes I'll take it, but I have noticed recently that when I do take that one, it gives me heartburn. And I think it's because of the cayenne pepper. And I think that's also something to know is like there are different herbs and people all have different suggestions. But it also is what resonates and what feels good in your body. And I haven't had problems before with the lower bowel, but recently that cayenne pepper has been giving me more of heartburn. So then I've kind of switched to taking these again, the vertizymes. And so I think that that's important to know is that maybe one didn't work, but that doesn't mean they won't. It's also just noticing how and where they're sourced from. Okay, moving forward, digestion, check. And the next one I wanted to talk about was hormones. I feel like this is something, especially for women. I am one who has very inconsistent, I have had very inconsistent periods in the past. Even since I was in high school, my moon time was never consistent. And so one thing that the few things that I really lean upon and that have helped out immensely is, of course, red raspberry. Um, Raspberry leaf has been one that even when you are pregnant, pre, postpartum, um, people will take red raspberry, whether it be in a tea with like nettle, is a way of preparing for birth. It's also good for hormone balance. There's just a lot of benefits. And so I do take the thing with these though is that red raspberry isn't as strong. So you have to take many, many, many capsules to kind of equal out what other things can. But I still do take red raspberry very often. The other thing that I have really loved, and I feel like this is, of course, once again, this is just my apothecary, what I have found that works for me, is I actually really love Dave's Health and Nutrition, and he's in Salt Lake City, Utah. But he has some of his own blends that he creates, and Healthy Cycles is one that truly is like by far the best that I find in my body. Is if I feel like I have stuck energy or I'm like late and I just feel like there's a block in my energy where I'm like, okay, I need to really kick it into gear. Like I'll take these Healthy Cycles. I'll take one or two a day, probably two a day actually. But then if I know that I have a block where I'm just feeling like extra, like I have a lot of cramps and I just know that my period's going to start, but it hasn't started yet, I'll take like three or four of these. And I swear it like kicks something in gear in my body and it helps me to just get regular and frequent. And it's interesting because it has the raspberry leaf, um, and it has dong quai, which I know a lot of people will take dong quai for hormones, but to me that one was just too harsh all on itself. Um, so Healthy Cycles is one that I 100% love, and it's one of my go-tos that I will always keep in my home and that I use often. The other one that he has is called Moon Phases. And I was looking up at this because when I went in, I was really drawn to getting it. And as I'm looking at it further, it really says it supports hormone health in menopause and postmenopausal women, which I don't, of course, I'm not postmenopausal, but it has like ashwagandha and hawthorn, and it has different things that kind of also bring in like a balance. So I don't take this all the time, but like once or twice a month, I will automatically just be like intuitively drawn to take that. And so I do take that, and I feel like it does make a difference in my body. Or even when I'm on my moon time, I like the liquid, and I'll just take that in the mornings for whatever reason. Like I just feel prompted, and it has helped my body immensely. And the last thing, as far as hormones, I wouldn't say this is necessarily hormones, but this is for the urinary tract, is corn silk. And for some reason, I know when women have kids, it's easy to have a weak bladder. It's easy to be caught like walking and all of a sudden you pee your pants, or you have to go to the bathroom more often, or it's hard to hold having to go to the bathroom. And for me, I haven't had kids yet, but I've always had a weak bladder. And even when I was little, I would go and get acupuncture for that and different things. And I've done so many different things of clearing. But I have noticed that when I take corn silk, my body can process, and my my urinary tract, like I can hold longer, and I don't have to all of a sudden be like, I have to go to the bathroom and like pee my pants in the store. Like it has helped immensely with bladder control as well as I can't even tell you, a night and day difference for me. Corn silk has been the thing that has helped me be able to have a more controlled bladder. And yeah, I don't know. It's amazing. This corn silk has literally saved my life. And I know that sounds dramatic, but honestly, if you had to pee like six times, like if you were out shopping and you peed your pants, like pretty much peed your pants four times out shopping, like there's a problem there. And I've been to the doctors and they said nothing's wrong, you're just fine. And then I got on corn silk and I don't have that issue anymore. And I'm so grateful for that because that was not fun to deal with. The next thing I wanted to address really is sleep. If you're still along this ride with me, we're addressing sleep now. And I have always also been one who, especially being so connected, I feel like there's a lot of people who, when you're very intuitive and you do a lot of energy, it's hard sometimes to fall asleep or to become very restless. And the only way to describe it is if you feel like your spirit's going to jump out of your body or it doesn't want to be in your body and it's like like this restless feeling. And when I was little, we used to have a lot of extra beds in our house. So sometimes I would sleep on my bed or I'd try to turn around. And if that didn't work, I'd go to the other bedroom and try that. And if that didn't work, I'd go to the couch. And it was almost at night, I would get anxious to try to go to bed because I couldn't sleep or because I had restless legs or I just felt really restless in my body. And honestly, the thing that has helped so much with that is taking magnesium before bed. And Mary at the herb shop, she sells a lot of nature sunshine. But I got the magnesium there and I just take one a night. And if I feel like I'm kind of restless, or if I have sessions at night, sometimes I'm in such a high frequency that it's harder for me to fall asleep. And so I'll take two of those and it will help kind of bring my body back into balance. Or if I'm like extra shaky, like, oh, my legs are shaky, I feel like my spirit's jumping out of my body. Magnesium helps with my leg cramps and leg aches. And Curtis always laughs because I say, like, oh, I feel like I'm having growing pains. He's like, I've never had an adult talk about feeling growing pains as much as you do, but that's what it feels like. And I used to try to take a bath and all kinds of stuff, but magnesium has been the key kicker for me. The other thing that I love is passion flower on those nights. Is passion flower is I guess it's kind of like melatonin in a way. People will take melatonin when they can't sleep, but then if you're taking melatonin, your body stops creating it, and so it's this vicious cycle. Where passion flower is it has the adaptable properties to help you, so it can help put you to sleep, but it's not something that your body becomes relying on. And I swear, passion flower helps me have the best night's sleep when I'm starting to feel anxious or I'm starting to feel that antsy feeling inside. Passion flower is one of my favorite go-tos. The other thing along with that I have in my apothecary is valerian root. And valerian root smells like stinky socks. It smells disgusting, but it's almost like a natural way of relaxing, like a muscle relaxer that will help your body. If you're feeling extra tense, it's a natural muscle relaxer in a way that can help without your body having to take like a prescription for that. Okay, moving forward. I know I've been talking so much, but once again, I love it. So respiratory, I have had more of weak lungs, and you can see that I have like a clogging nose even today. But respiratory is something also that I think is so important to focus on. We're breathing in all kinds of stuff. This has also brought me into what kind of candles am I using? If I'm using candles, and I use a lot of essential oils instead to put in my house, and what I'm putting on my body, the smells, all of those things. But respiratory for sure is a big thing that I know I need support in. And I've had to use an inhaler in the past when I was little. But one thing that I have found for sure is I love this fenugreek and thyme. I just feel like this, and it also smells pretty good too. I love the smell of it. But it just helps like with soothing the mucous membranes. And I have taken it and have loved it. So fenugreek and thyme is really great. Of course, mullein, we have mullein as well. Um, these are just the things that I keep kind of like on my bedside when I take them at night and everything. Mullein is really good for respiratory. It's good to break up anything in your lungs. It's really great for support. The other thing is that Dave's Health also has a respiratory blend that I actually am wanting to get. I haven't used it yet, but now that I'm back in Utah, I'm like, oh, I want to try this respiratory blend out. I'm just reading what it has. Yeah, so it has some really great things too for respiratory and in that space. So those are just things to think about as far as your lungs, breathing, respiratory. Curtis uses mullein because he's also had a lot of lung problems. He had surgery on his ribs or his chest when he was younger, and also has a harder time with breathing and has had different substances of like when you're vaping or smoking, even when you're younger, like that kind of stuff has an effect on your lungs. And so it's really good to clear out your lungs and to have a specific herb that will go from that will be digested into the space where it will go directly to your lungs to also help break up anything or to heal things in that sort. Okay, so there's two other sections here. And seasonal depression, I know I've talked about this in my other podcasts, but I honestly think that this is something that people need to know and something that can help bring balance back to the body. Yes. So I have taken holy basil and I take it in a liquid tincture, but I just squeeze the tincture and put it in water and then I just take that. But holy basil has made all the difference for me as far as my mental health, especially in the wintertime. Curtis has also felt a huge difference with holy basil. And I just see people are like, man, I'm really struggling. I have depression right now. I'm feeling heavy, or my kid is. I'm like, oh, make sure it fills the line for you. But holy basil, go to. D3 and K2 is also a great one. We have it in a liquid. I like the liquid sunshine. It's like liquid sunshine. It's really good and it's really helpful. The other thing that I have used is St. John's wort. I've used it in the pure herbal oil. I haven't taken it internally, but I've rubbed it on my body. And there's something so powerful about oiling, about having some kind of tincture and you rub it on your skin and it goes from your epidermis to your nervous system. And so it hits your nervous system in a different way that is also very powerful and profound, and it brings in a space of rest and relaxation. And so I've been using St. John's wort as well before I meditate, or before I have sessions sometimes, to just bring my body and my spirit and my soul back into balance. I won't talk about juniper berry yet. That will be on a different podcast. So those are those things that really have stuck out to me. The other thing here is my go-to for overall wealth and vitality and to just feel good. And these are things that I literally take every day. And if I stop taking them, it's not that my body relies upon it, but I can feel that my body is missing something. And that really comes with Soul Naturals. It's one of my favorite products. When I met Curtis, he was selling it. That was part of his business. He was selling with that. And at first I was like, no, like, because it's an MLM. And I was like, no way. I don't even want to be a part of it. I don't want to hear about it because it's an MLM. And it's so funny because as I've started taking it, to me, it's not about the aspect of it being an MLM. It is just great herbs, great quality. I love it. And the things that I really love is they have 4 lines. And those 4 lines bring balance to your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. So as I always talk about us being a 4 multi-dimensional space, I love their product line because they do have product line for all 4 of those areas of bringing your mind, your soul, like all of it back into balance. And so they have different products or different lines that will help with balancing, with lifting, with clarity, and with calm. And for me, I see that connected to the different aspects of who it is that we are. And I don't know, I just feel like there's deep connection in that aspect. But they do have something called Soul Vital, and it is a packet like this. And I don't know how to describe it, but it just brings in this absolutely beautiful and profound vitality. It literally feels like it's bringing you back to life. So when we were moving across country this last time, I was just really kind of struggling and feeling kind of heavy. And I don't know, I just was going through a lot. And when we moved in, the day after we moved, I had to go to Idaho and I was filming a wedding. And I didn't bring in Vital. I didn't bring any Vital or any herbs with me, but it was like my body absolutely needed. It needed Vital. And it was like, how dare you not bring it into my space? Like, how, like, It was that my body literally was like needing to be brought back to life. And so what is in here is it has a prime chlorophyll blend, and then it has trace minerals, and then it has an adaptogenic blend um, that brings your body back into balance. And so it really brings into the key aspect of detoxifying, alkalining, recovering, balancing, and also bringing energy. And it was like I needed to keep drinking this. And one day I had like four, probably for 3 days actually, driving across country and not eating the best. And I was drinking like a lot of coffee at the time too, like coffee in the morning and in the afternoon while we were driving. And then definitely not enough water. But I needed this soul to bring my body back literally to life. And it did. It helped completely. And it's something that we rely upon, not in a negative way, like, oh, I can't live without it, but this definitely brings vitality back to our life. And I drink it every single day. The other thing that they have is cinnamate. Cinnamate is one of our go-tos as well. It's all about lifting. It's in their lifting blend, but it's one that's supposed to also help to increase energy and focus and stimulation to help lift yourself into this space. So it helps with blood sugar, cravings, digestion, stamina, immunity. And what it is it's yerba mate, which is like a green leaf. It's like a green, it's a natural upper, like it's a natural stimulant to bring balance and vitality to the body. It has cinnamon, which is good for blood sugar, also good for sugar cravings. It has nopal, banana leaf, thyme. So there's a lot of other things that are added into it to make it taste really great that are, natural, not synthetic. And a lot of people put it in their hot chocolate, people put it in their coffee. I like to mix these two together in the morning, and then sometimes I'll just have a Vital at night. But so good. I absolutely love them. And they definitely bring a lot of balance, and I just feel a difference in my life. And these are things that we always keep on hand. And like I said, when I first came across them, I'm like, no way. It's an MLM. I don't want anything to do with it. And now that I've just taken the product consistently, oh, it's made all the difference. 100%. And my husband doesn't sell for them anymore. We just have our regular account that we order from. And wow, it makes a huge impact. The next one is Excel. I don't take this one as often, but it does come and it's here to help bring clarity. It's an antioxidant. It helps with your libido, strengthen your bones. So it kind of brings this space of like clarity, focus, energy. Like I said, I don't take this one as often, but as I'm talking about these four body, mind, soul, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, I thought I'd bring it in because I talk about those four aspects and these products bring balance to those four aspects. And I freaking love that. The last thing here is Renew, which we actually just got some more of that. So I don't actually have a packet with me. But this one is also really great if I'm feeling stressed. Or if I want to go to bed, it's kind of like a tea you can drink. It's the same packet. It's a packet, but it helps with stress relief, sleep aid, restores harmony, rejuvenate, and refocuses. So it really helps bring a lot of balance. And sometimes, like after I have a session, or if in the day I'm starting to feel a little more anxious, I will have a Vital and a Renew together. And I drink that, and it brings, like, I can feel it bringing this grounding energy into my space. And when I was on birth control, we're going there. I had tried to do the ring, the Nerva ring, because I didn't want to take medication and I didn't want to put something in my arm. Like that wasn't happening. So I tried the ring, and I had it for like 2 weeks. And honestly, it made me absolutely crazy. And it was not good for me. But when I decided, okay, I'm not going to do that, I actually put all four of these together, and I would take it like a soul bomb, is what we call it. Is I took all four of those together, and it took me like 2 months to bring my body back into a balance that I felt more comfortable with just from having that nerve ring in. And I actually only used it for a week. So it took like 2 months to bring it back to balance for 1 week of having it change up my hormones. But it was so good. And every day I would just say, what does my body need? And every day it would want all four of them. And yeah, so it's kind of interesting how when we just allow our body to speak and we have the proper resources, it can really help bring things to balance. Now, of course, something to know with herbs is that they are going to take longer to get into your system. At the herb shop, Mary always used to always say it takes about 2 weeks to really saturate the system. So you can start to feel a huge difference. You might start feeling it in some ways, but really to feel that huge difference, give yourself time. And that's one thing I think that is when you take a prescription, sometimes it can have an immediate reaction or you can feel it the next day. And so it's like, oh, well, this is working. If I take herbs, it's not working. Well, give yourself time to allow it to saturate your body in a way that brings in healing and understanding and peace and clarity in all of those things, because there truly is so many different ways to bring balance. But we also are taught, oh, it has to be now and we have to get it done at this specific moment. And that's not always the case. So I don't know. I just have really enjoyed talking today about herbs and what I have in my apothecary. Of course, everyone has their own herbs that they love or the brands that they love, things that really stick out to them. So, of course, in the show notes, I'll kind of like link you to like Dave's Health and Nutrition. And for him, like when I work with people and they have kids who are struggling with something, I always say set up an appointment with him. It's like 20 minutes. It's like $20 for 15 minutes or whatever that is. It's not very expensive, but he'll like check into you. You'll go in and fill out the form or even do it over video or online or the phone. But it's like you can check in, and then it's also he'll look at your chart, your star chart. He'll kind of talk to you about different things, and then he fills into your body. And a lot of times he'll he'll give you options for different kinds of homeopathy or different herbs to help support your body. And I can't tell you how many people have taken their kids to him after a session and have found immense changes in their children after it. I used to take that when I was little. I would go there for headaches. Um, I had I did all the things, and he was a big part of that healing journey for me as a child. And so I still send people over there because I think it's powerful. Um, of course, we have Mary at the herb shop who I can send you her. Like I'll put that in my link too. If that's what you're drawn to, she has done like iridology. Of course, she's in Georgia. But even she talks to people on the phone and kind of listens, and she'll send them some stuff too if they need that. I have a lady, Corinne, who is absolutely phenomenal when it comes to soul products. And so I'll even like just put some of my favorite soul products down there, the four drinks that I talked about. And this isn't to like sell you anything. This is just to show you that it is possible to bring balance to your body. And it 100% there are tools to support us. And just like I was saying with Curtis, like he adding these herbs into his life, bringing balance to his heart, to his lungs, to his digestion, to his joints, has also been so healing and so powerful that it's brought balance to his whole body. And that's what it's about, is we are here to be in the body. And if we're not well in the body, if it's hard or if it's heavy or if there's imbalance, it can cause us to disattach from being connected to those around us, to Mother Earth, to nature, to our higher self, to even wanting to be here. And so that's why I just think finding herbs, opening up the space to that possibility, having those as your go-to on your apothecary, you know, I'm kind of that person now. We always joke like when people are into essential oils, they're like, oh, I got an oil for that. And now I'm like, oh, I got an herb for that. Like it's just something that naturally comes within. And I have found that even during sessions, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, this person could really use this. And so then I'll say, hey, I'll send you some resources. If this feels right, I would try to just see how it feels. And if you feel drawn to it, like go ahead and take it, because seriously, it will help heal your body in ways that we have forgotten about. And we're being brought back to the ancient ways of healing and integration and love. And there's a balance between westernized and ancient Eastern medicine that can really bring balance. And it's finding the balance of both and knowing that there is good in both things. But Mother Earth gives us everything that we need for our own healing. And I think it's important for us to remember that. So, anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this podcast. I could talk for hours. And to me, I'm not an herbalist. I don't have all the knowledge of it, but it's something that I'm passionate about. And it's something that I have seen in my everyday life. And so, of course, if an herb stuck out to you and you want to research it more, go for that. Research it, see how it feels, see if it resonates with you, see if you're called to that. Because, like I said, even with the moon phase, I don't take it every day, but sometimes I just feel like my body's like, oh, I need that. And so then I'll take it. And sometimes I just take one corn silk a day, or sometimes I'll open up the bottle and just allow whatever to fall out. And if there's two or if there's three, sometimes I'll do that. And I'll just know that my body and my soul and my mind, there's so much intuitive connection that we have that we forget to rely upon that. So even if it's opening it up and just allowing it to fall out, and maybe it's like, oh, I need one, or sometimes it's like, I'll need three. And I'll just take it and just know that that's okay. That's what my body needs at this time. And I don't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be this or that or this or that. But it's going with the flow and knowing that our body will adapt. And whatever we don't need, we pee out. And that's the other thing, is if you're taking synthetic herbs that come from Walmart that might not be the best brand, is there is a lot of synthetic things that actually are not healthy for your body. In fact, they're pulling back or they're causing harm to your body. When I went to my doctor for hormones, I was like, hey, it's been inconsistent. Is there something that I need to be checking or worried about, or just checking in to see if everything is okay? And she says, well, are you taking herbs? And I said, yeah. And she said, I want you to stop taking all the herbs and just get your body back to balance. And at first I was like, I don't agree with that. But when I was sitting with it, is yes, there are some times where we're buying herbs from Walmart or Smith's or the grocery store that are synthetic and that can be hurting the body versus healing the body. And so it's really important to find those herbs that really do have that lasting balance, that are plant sourced, that have adaptogens, that are non-synthetic, that can actually work in your body and bring balance and bring healing versus hurting it. So that's just some things to think about. So I'll have all of the resources that I've talked about today in my show notes. And once again, this isn't to have you to buy any of them. This is just if it feels right to you, if you feel like you want to give it a try, if you feel like, oh, I'm really seeking something. I've gone to doctor after doctor after doctor and have found nothing. Well, maybe it's time to try herbs, or to focus in on your mental or your physical or your emotional. And this is the thing too, right? Is we all have this medicine that we are here to teach and to share and to embrace. And so you don't have to have the answers. And for me, I'm like, okay, I have these ladies. I have Dave, I have Mary, I have Corinne. And these are people who their passion, their desire, their medicine is integrated into herbs and helping people and into healing the body, mind, soul, all of those things. And to me, I'm like, oh, I'm a beginner at that. I don't know all of those things, but I have resources. I don't have to know all of the things. And for a while I thought, oh, maybe I'll become an herbal, I'll get my certificate in herbs. And I sat down, I'm like, no, right now that doesn't feel right. And I also have people who have dedicated their space to that. And so if I feel like, oh, I'm off balance, I can go to them. So it doesn't feel so overwhelming that I have to have all the knowledge of it, because that's not where I'm feeling called to right now. I'd love it. And I know what works for me, but I'm also constantly looking Boswellia. Boswellia, frankincense, is made from the Boswellia tree. And Boswellia, if you take it in an herb, is actually really good for inflammation, for joint pain. If you're drinking too much soda, one, stop drinking the soda, because soda is awful for your body. I'm just going to say it blunt and straight. Soda is shit to your body. Don't drink it. It will harm your body. The second thing is you have inflammation, is maybe you're having too much breads or too many carbs or too much processed stuff that your body's having a hard time breaking down. Well, there's herbs like vertizymes that can help your body break it down, but it also collects in your body, and you might have joint pain, or you might feel like, oh, it's just hard to move. It's hard to walk. It's hard to do things. Well, Boswellia is, whether you have it You just put frankincense in your water as an oil, or even if you take it in a capsule, boswellia is going to also help with inflammation. The other thing I love about Soul Natural is they have a protocol where it's helping bring your body back to balance. So it's helping bring your liver back to balance. So it's taking Soul Vital, it's taking a probiotic, it's taking vertizymes, and there's another thing I can't remember right now, but it's there to help bring your body back into balance. Because if your liver is constantly on overdrive, it's going to be easier to gain weight. And whatever herbs you're taking, if your liver's not also being cleansed and healed and looked at, it's going to have a harder time putting the herbs where they need to go. And so there's just bringing things into balance. And a lot of times we focus on gut health, which is awesome, but we forget about the liver. And the liver actually, everything hits the liver before it hits the gut. And the liver needs to be balanced before or along with the gut that we don't always talk about. And then I'm like, am I saying this right? I don't know. I don't have all the skills. I don't have all the credentials. It's just things that I know and I've heard and I feel. And so that's why you can go to people who have specialization, who have dedicated their life to this practice, to helping bring that to balance. So anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this podcast because I've enjoyed talking about it. And it's something that I have felt really passionate about and has brought a lot of excitement and purpose and healing in my life. And at Modern Sages Podcast, that's what I'm all about, is sharing honest medicine that has helped me and integrating the past and the present to create this balance for the future. Because there is a balance between all things that we're being called into this space for. So anyways, check out the show notes if there's anything that really resonated with you. I promise you, taking care of your body is one of the greatest stewardess that we have in this lifetime, because we're a spirit that drops into this meat suit, but this meat suit is part of the journey, and healing our body, having proper relationship with it, taking the herbs, and maybe that's going to the doctor and receiving help in that space too. It's important to take care of your body, because your body is your greatest tool and outlet here in this physical world, because why else are we here? To be in this physical body. So anyways, I love you guys. Thank you for joining, and we'll talk next week on the podcast. See you later. Do you feel called to connect to your medicine within? Have you wanted to strengthen your spiritual gifts? Are you looking for ways to incorporate the sacred into your everyday life? Maybe do you want to have like-minded friends in a tribe who can connect with you? Modern Sages Soul Tribe is dedicated to spiritual seekers like yourself who are embracing the medicine within. Now, in this tribe, we are going to be doing moon gatherings, amazing spiritual gift giveaways, connecting to a soul tribe, as well as hosting mystery school classes. If you are feeling called to connect to the soul tribe, I will leave a link for you in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening to Modern Sages Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us online. Blessings.